They tried it, but they have some more features to implement for Dash,
right.
because not everything was.
Yeah, there's like 120 different operands.
Yeah, he listed the items that they still need work on to be able to run Dash.
Yep, I forgot that. Thanks.
Yeah, so it's good progress. I mean, I like it to see it. If it actually performs a bit better.
So I talked to Riff about it a little bit, and what's interesting is he needs the kernel driver and acceptance there.
That he literally has been working, I think it's a year and a half now. I think it's even a little bit longer than he said, that just trying to do, they've been multiple rounds with the people who must approve at least some number of, I don't know what the exact approval process is, but there's some set of Linux kernel networking area maintainers, that some number of them which have to approve, with none of them vetoing, I think, something like that.
Okay. Yep. So you guys would be interested in part 2 then, around performance and the challenges, I can ask, because I can ask him to come back and give part 2. I had planned to.
I see it as something that's potentially interesting in the future for Dash. Good to keep on the radar, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So also, didn't he say it caused an incompatibility with the standards, or that's what he's trying to work through?
I'm not sure if this is what you're thinking of. He mentioned that the control plane API they have for updating table entries is not conformed to any existing standards, their own custom made one.
Okay.
But that said, that's not so, I mean, pretty much every programmable data plane has its own custom API for that at some level, at least at a low level. Whether or not somebody comes along and decides to layer some other standard on top of that, implementation on top of that, depends upon whether somebody wants to do that. So,
Yeah.
And then I think Chris mentioned that's not a blocker. Like if it was ready for other reasons, they've got a side to P4 runtime layer in their test scripts that could be changed to a side to P4TC control plane API layer if it was worth the effort.
Hey, sounds like we'll see. I should probably.
Yeah, Andy, I actually have a few questions on the P4TC would like to discuss.
Today or the next time we have him visit?
Because it's a behavior model, so I thought maybe a good time.
Okay.
But we can discuss with next time as well. I guess it's just some clarification questions, because I think last time there are certain discussions we didn't really get answers. The thing for the like the P4TC is that what I hear is, in order to make the P4TC work, we need first of all we need to change the kernel, and then the second is that there is some driver running the kernel receiving the P4 receiving people how should I call it, like netlink message, but with a P4 payload, and then program both the eBPF, but not through the not through a standard eBPF map, but with a shared structure between the hardware implementation and the eBPF. That looks to be a lot of work that is doing inside of kernel, which is something today we're not doing in the Dash today, because like all our test environment is actually the container. The things we're running is majority like user mode. We don't really have. I think we don't really have any like the like driver modules. So I'm a little bit concerned on the current state of the P4TC, but I might be getting it wrong.
Mhm.
So yeah, so
I think
you're
I think you're accurate, and I may this may sound like I'm revising my previous answer, but if you put a lot more weight on the "if it's not too much work" phrase that I might have, I think, said something like that, is like it might be too much work to be worth the effort.
yeah,
Very for the reasons you outline. And Chris Summers is more familiar with P4TC and may have more detailed
right.
response than that. But yeah, at this time it might not be worth the effort, and it might never
Uh,
be worth the effort.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would.
oh, Chris, please. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Riff. I think you're right that as far as being ready for Dash today, it's not. I think it's something to be paying attention as a possible, you know, game-changing technology because
Mm,
if and when it gets upstreamed, and I'm crossing my fingers that eventually
me too.
it will prevail, then
Yeah.
you've got the ability, let's just say not this year, but maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years
see.
from now, and every Linux distro can run P4 code, right?
That would be awesome.
Right? See the long view. And
Yep.
so what's important, I think that what we can do right now as, let's say people might be interested in consuming this technology down the road,
Yep.
we can
Yep.
help provide information on the use case and concerns to the developers.
Yep.
So Jamal learns things from us by us playing with it and poking it. Like just this week, I said, I need to be able to access register index 0. And, they don't necessarily know that. They think maybe registers and, index 1 to n is good enough. And I say, no, 0 is important because of how people use registers, right?
Yep.
Like the index might be the modulus of some other number we don't even know the value of.
Yep.
That's an example. And they go, oh, okay. So we're teaching them about use cases. We're also teaching about usability. I play with it. I find something that's awkward. I write an email. I get an answer back in an hour saying, yeah, we'll fix that. So we're helping shape and improve it along the way.
Mm.
And then we can support it in the community by saying, come on, kernel people, we do want this. You guys know
definitely.
your world, but you don't really know about P4 and how transformative of a technology it is. I've slowly changed some people's minds with my emails in the thread. Some people say, what's P4? It's a DSL. We don't need a DSL. We don't need a DSL. Just write it in C or BPF. That's the starting attitude from some people. I say, there's probably 10,000 people who can write P4 who learned it in school in a few weeks and can do good stuff. You can't say that true about deep kernel writing code. There's not, people who can learn that quickly. P4, someone can become a data plane, developer in days to weeks.
Yep.
Right. So I'm saying I'm trying to educate them to get a different point of view so we can all help in that process. And so I'm hoping 3 years from now, this is like an old news. And this is like in every Linux distro, and we're writing awesome things that can just go into any platform. And if there's a smart NIC that can offload the tables, it'll run even better, right?
Yep.
That's my long view.
I see.
And this bring your own data plane, that's neat. What you guys have been doing. Maybe P4TC would be another way of doing a custom data plane, right? Because writing a DPDK app is kind of daunting. You write a P4 program in an hour that could do something useful and you can inject it into the kernel. It's a whole different ballgame. So that's my point of view. And I have an application for it I could use yesterday. That's why I'm playing with the bleeding edge stuff. So
I see.
Yeah, that's just my perspective. And you can reach out to Jamal directly. He's very interested in one-on-one dialogue if you have any questions.
I see. Sounds good. Yeah. I think just a little bit worried about the current state, because the driver loading stuff, it probably won't, we won't be able to load any kernel driver inside of the container because the container runs in a cloud built environment.
Right.
So with that, if we switch to P4TC with the current state, of course, then it probably won't run as
No, it's not ready for today.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep, sounds perfect. Yeah, but I do agree. Like this is an interesting project. I think this is also not the first project that people intended to transform the P4 into TC hooks. I remember previously there was a project called P4 eBPF, which does similar thing, but it pretty much maps to standard eBPF program and the maps. So there is no kernel module, there is nothing. But if I remember correctly, that project like stopped in the middle. Not sure if the if the author just like graduated from school or is just like busy on something else. But anyway, that project kind of stopped.
I think he's still, I mean, Andy probably knows, I think is Thomas who's worked on that, but it's just, hasn't got the same amount of investment.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to it very much. Yeah.
Well, good. Thanks. And Christina, thanks for providing the platform.
Oh yeah, I'll let him do his second session then when he's ready. Hopefully next week, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Then
3
maybe we
years goes 3 years goes by quickly, right? We've been meeting like this for 3 years, right?
So we've been doing this almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in I think September or October. So that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy. Did you guys want to? So I attempted to create a PR. Apparently, it wasn't a good idea, but I was doing it just as a reminder. So thanks, Riff, for the feedback there. And let's see, did you guys have PRs or issues you wanted to talk about? So let me move this here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
I'm hoping yes. Okay, great. Of course.
I wanted to talk about a change to the BMV2 to the P4 that I wanted to make was to increase the table size. Like I said, I didn't saw any adverse effect, and I think we can increase the table sizes to whatever Dash requires. At least, let's say for a 200 gig SmartNIC. Seems just a function of memory. I don't know. I tried to load huge tables and it seems like they load. Performance is a different issue. Okay, I'm not talking about performance, but scalability wise. So does anyone know if there is any adverse effect? Is like pre-allocated memory, and if I put 8 million mappings there instead of 1,000, now it's just gonna take 3 extra gig of memory without any point, or?
I think it is just extra memory, and I don't know what there might be. I don't know what the cost per table entry is, but BMV2 should be able to use all available RAM.
No,
Yeah.
but it's dynamically or it just pre-allocates? It's like, oh, let me take 6 gig of memory just because this guy specified 3 billion table size, but
I believe it's dynamically allocated as the number of entries.
Then we shouldn't care. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe the table sizes in BMV2 are just the maximum that the control plane's allowed to add, and doesn't pre-allocate anything significant that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so we can actually check the code really quick. What I know is that it just reads from the table size, basically metadata, that goes into the BMV2 JSON. The BMV2 runtime loads it, and will just set it as max size. I can quickly check if the max size is pre-allocated or not pre-allocated. It should be somewhere in the behavior model code, so it won't take too much time to find it out. Just give me a few. Yeah.
I mean, another experiment would just be change the table size to 1 billion and restart BMV2 and see if the starting memory is higher than it was when it was a smaller table. Because I suspect it'll be like almost the same starting memory either way.
So from 1,000 to 8,000 and in mapping, and from 1,000 to 4 million. Sorry. 1,000 to 8 million in mapping and 1,000 to 4 million in routing. I did both in the same time. I didn't notice anything, but there may be something that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just use top on and look at the resident memory size when it starts up, and
and then I just started making cycles, pushing config, which they work. It doesn't get bothered. I mean, it's it's slow, doesn't push too many per second, that's a different story. But if you let it go, it goes. I don't know. It worked for me. It didn't crash.
That's exactly what I would expect to see.
Yep.
So because my PR it's in draft, the big PR with a baby hero test and so on. I'll take this piece of code that increase the table sizes and make it as a different PR then.
That sounds perfect. Thank you, Macha.
Okay, behavior model. I have another one. If I put destination overlay MAC, I raise the issue as 0000, BMV2 is still forwarding the traffic properly. It doesn't care about the mapping, the MAC in the mapping table. It just does it based on IP. Yeah, that one. I don't think this should work. So we have the ENI MAC and the ENI IP. Those needs to be correct. And of course, the VNI values. And then if the network, the other side of the network IP is correct, but then the other MAC, it's 000, it just works in BMV2. And I
sorry,
didn't explain. Yeah.
Yeah. Which destination MAC? Is it underlay destination MAC or overlay destination MAC?
Overlay.
Overlay. Okay. Do you mind to show me the code you are actually referring to?
Yeah, here. So if I have, so this is my config, the site config, you can see it below, and that is a packet. So in the packet I have, forget about underlay. Underlay, it's whatever. So we have the correct VNI and so on to match, but so we have the ENI MAC, which matches the site config. We have the ENI IP that matches the site. We have the remote IP from the mapping, CA to PA mapping, that IP. But then CA to PA mapping has also a MAC. If we use in the packet 00 as a MAC and not the MAC from the CA to PA mapping, traffic still flows.
It has, yeah, it should have the destination MAC in the CAP mapping, yes.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. If I send packets with 000 as that MAC and not matching the mapping MAC, the traffic still flows. And I don't think that's correct. They should match the MAC.
So, are you familiar, Marcia, with looking at the packet processing log from BMV2?
Yes, I see it while it's running. It's going through the stages and is marking miss, hit, outbound, inbound. Yeah.
Yeah, Andy, I think it is not actually the problem with the mapping. I think what Machar is saying is that the packet he sent out will have the original packet will have the overlay destination MAC access to all the rows, if my understanding is correct.
Correct, yes.
Yeah,
and the BMV2 will still forward that packet.
Yeah, the BMV2 still forward that packet, but after the packet gets like going out of the pipeline, you should have the destination MAC changed to something not 0. If that is not changed, it is a bug. If it changed to whatever the CAP mapping is set to, then the behavior is actually right.
But how is it not dropped if all zeros is probably not in the ENI address table? It should be dropped when you are mapping this MAC to ENI, unless someone programmed 0 MAC into ENI.
Yeah, because the ENI, to find the ENI, we are using the source MAC, right? This is the outbound direction. So we're using the source MAC. The destination MAC says to 0 is actually okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, and the reason that it works is because in Azure, when we send it out, you see the packet when the packet gets sent out. In the beginning, we don't really know if the packet actually like the MAC address of the destination VM, right? Because it could land on anywhere. So when the packet comes out, lands on the appliance or lands on the the dash pipeline, what happens is we'll get mock MAC in the destination. Oh, sorry, they just covered it a bit.
Well, it's not specific to Azure. It's a similar thing if you have your overlay doing routing. It's like Type5 EVPN is also using DummyMax.
Yep, that's true. So because in the source side, you may not know the address or the MAC address of the destination side yet, because otherwise you have to push everything to the source side, right? So then it will make the source side really complicated. So yes, in other cases, we also use DummyMax. But in this case, it's also DummyMax. That's why no matter what MAC you put it over there, like all zeros or any other MACs, it will still work. But if you see after the pipeline process it, if you see the MAC address are not changed and stay as all zeros, then it's a bug.
Okay, so the output packet that comes from BMV2 should have the correct MAC because it is filled in by the pipeline.
Right.
Okay. And my guess is that, so I mean, BMV2, you could think of as an interpreter for the compiled P4 program. Yes, there have been bugs in the compiler of BMV2 before, but they're pretty far and few between for the last several years. So my suspicion would first lie with maybe the P4 code isn't doing what you want here.
Yeah, I have much higher confidence than on compiler side. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. I'm saying, like, I've seen bugs and I've filed bugs and I've fixed bugs, but it's been like 2 a year for the last 3 years or so. So they're pretty rare.
Yeah. So, Mucha, which issue are you seeing? Are you seeing it's just like the are you seeing the
me transmitting the packets? I put a bogus MAC there and I noticed that works, and I was like, why is not dropping it? But I didn't. I'll capture it. It's very easy for me. I'll capture it and check in the if it's correct as it exits from BMV2.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah. If it is just like the incoming side, then yes, it is expected.
Yeah, and why am I saying this? Because I tested it on XYZ company hardware, and I think if that MAC doesn't match, it will drop the packet. So if you put their random MAC in an actual implementation, it will drop it from what I noticed.
I see. Yeah.
Both IP and MAC needs to be correct. So that created the difference between an actual hardware implementation and BMV2, and now who has the bug? Because if it needs to accept bogus MAC, I'll go to the hardware guys and tell them, hey, no, you accept bogus MAC.
Yeah. I can send you the dummy MAC address to you, like in private. So you can use that to test it out. So maybe it's just hard coded in the pipeline. They have
I just put 000.
Okay. Yeah, but all zeros should still work. It just sound random numbers. Yeah. Okay.
What else? Oh, and the other one, if somebody can help, this is a small enhancement. I don't know if it's needed, but from what I observed, is that there is an action drop decided by the pipeline at, let's say, first stage, like VNI, VIP miss or something. It doesn't drop it there. It just goes through all the other stages, or sees them logging at least, and then it drops it.
So I found this very interesting as well in the beginning. So I was actually intended to get this one fixed at that time. But in later time, actually stopped like changing this one, or just like not changing this one. The reason is actually because of interesting reason. So the thing is that, say, later on, once we added the flow in the pipeline. So when the packet goes through the pipeline, it hits the flow table, and then once it hits flow, it goes through the fast pass, right? But the thing is that if it has the flow reconcile, sorry, not flow, I mean the flow resimulation, what happens is that the flow becomes invalid. So it needs to go through the pipeline again. Once it goes through the pipeline can say, oh, my echo changed, so I'm going to drop the packet. At that time, we could not drop the packet, or it's probably will be better not drop the packet, but save the job in the metadata and let it carry through all the way through the pipeline, and eventually goes to the data plan app and to get the flow entry deleted right away. So in that case, when the next packet comes, because this one serves that job, right? So then triggers the simulation. The simulation should get rid of the flow, and once we get rid of the flow, the next packet will correctly not hitting any flow and goes to the pipeline, hits echo, and gets dropped over there. So in this case, it is actually needed to carry the job decision all the way through the pipeline. However, the pipeline, so I added something like stage transition in the pipeline. So when this is something we could do is that when a pipeline, when the job decision is made, we can skip every decision or every stage directly goes to like the pre-action apply stage. At that time, we say, okay, it is time to apply the action. So where should we go? Should we apply the action, drop the thing, or should we actually, send it to the data plan app, deleting the flow or something like that? So that's why you are seeing the packet still goes through the pipeline, like every one of it. It's not dropped like directly over there. Not sure if that makes sense to you.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's just like the full pipeline is not finished yet. So I'm fully with you. Like with our current state, it's like so weird to not drop in the packet, right?
Okay.
Because like the packet doesn't really go through anything anymore. Why not just drop the thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
This goes to my next question, because in the end, what I cared about was performance. I know BMV2 doesn't have performance, but listen, if I have 80,000 mappings and I'm sending 80,000 packets, if I send one per second, I don't want the test to run for 80,000 seconds. So what I found out, let's say on my machine, it goes to about 400 to 500 packets per second, which is decent. But if I have one flow, and I don't know if BMV2 has a concept of slow path, fast path actually, and that makes a difference, because when you have 80,000 mappings and you have 80,000 packets, it's actually everything is slow path. Yeah, everything it's a new. So while when I do one flow and I send 80,000 packets, first is slow path, but next are fast path, and maybe I try to space the packets equally to make sure it's not bursty. I try many things, and as I increase the number of flows, I mean, I understand. It gets very slower. It gets to like from 400, 500 packets per second, I can barely send 10 per second or something. So this is why I was looking at this issue. I'm like, hey, if we drop early, maybe I gain another 5 packets per second.
So Mirsha, we can put action on me. So what I can do is that I can change the the deny change the job function, and to directly move the stage to the pre-action stage. So in that way, we will bypass every single table matrix, and then will help your the performance issue, because there's no more like no more table matches anymore. Just like go to the stage, oh, I'm not doing anything, return from this control block, go to another control block, oh, return, okay, I'm going to return because it doesn't match with the stage that it actually is in. So in that case, it will just flow. And then it will solve the performance issue because it doesn't need to do any table matches anymore.
Okay. Any other recommendation? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Please,
Just
Andy.
Quick comments. My knowledge of BMV2 is that there isn't much, if any, of a fast path. And one of the things that can really slow down performance is if you have like a large ternary table, for example, with many entries, because it effectively does linear search through those until it gets to the first batch.
Oh, so the problem is that I have 80K entries in the table versus.
Yeah,
One.
that's
Probably
what I thought.
linear searching that, right, for a match.
Right.
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
that's
Like
it's
echoes.
it's the dead simple software implementation, easy to get functionally correct, but very low performance. There are old Cisco routers from 10, 15 years ago, which, running packet processing in software saying keep your ternary tables small because that's what it does in software. There are software algorithms for doing it much faster, but they are more complex, and a lot of people don't bother to implement those things because of the debugging and implementation work required. So, and there's no hardware TCAM, obviously. So,
So, Mitch, I think maybe next week or so, I can probably have some time like work on that. Once I get that like in the pipeline, your performance should be solved. Yeah,
Does
by
that
that time
mean
we can try it out.
Riff, you'd put some check for the drop condition and skip all the control stages.
Yeah. So we can because we have the control stage control. We have the state transition control, so we can just directly send state transition control to the end of pipeline. So it will skip all the internal matches. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just want to clarify something. It's not going to solve my performance problem because this was just an observation with the drops. Usually I have positive traffic that actually all of it passes. So I think the problem is this with the table. And my question to community is like, does anyone know if we can do anything in BMV2 to make it faster? I saw there are some compile options online. They say, oh, if you want max out of BMV2, compile it with these flags. Do we compile it with those flags or not? Or are those flags affecting us?
I suspect those flags at most will give you like the difference between like an 03 versus not, 01 kind of C program. So maybe like a factor of 2, 3 or something like that, but they won't give you a factor of 100.
Also, right now we're pulling BMV2 behavioral model right off of Docker Hub, pre-built with the main, whatever release we pinned it to. We didn't compile
so we
it.
don't build it. I see. Okay.
We could go back to that, but we don't. That's why run times are only, minutes instead of hours. We used to build everything from source and it took an hour and a half. Now you can just go run and it runs.
But like I say, even if you build it yourself, I would expect maybe you could increase the performance by a factor to 2 to 3, maybe, depending what options you went. But it's not going to, with a large ternary table, it's still going to be a linear search.
Yeah, this was answer. Basically, I logged this one and Chris pinged me like 5 minutes after with table size stuff. So that's what I'll do. I'll break my PR into 2 to have only the table sizes. Yeah, it was 1024 by default. So we can close this one. I got the answer.
You think 585 can be closed? Okay.
It's
You
funny,
gonna close it, or do you want me to close it, Mircea?
38, line number 38 in your table, 582, yeah. I can close it.
Oh, I'll close it, it's okay.
Okay.
Just by coincidence, Merch, I happened to see some discussion on the P4 Slack channel about table size default being 1024, almost the same time you were looking into it. Is some other lucky user.
Marian, did you get your piece fixed about the DPU gen that you were looking to get fixed?
No, he did not, and that's what I was working on. And I think, Mariano, you changed the name again, or something.
Yeah, we looked at it with Riff and decided that there is a better naming to confuse ones that will be looking at the API. So there is one more request going in, and after that we will be done. But you can look at that. I think Riff will approve it.
Yeah, I already looked at it. So the change on my side, let's say, is done from my side. The problem is that now when I upgrade the Site Challenger container to have the new version, the hash key for the whatever the container doesn't match anymore. So the optimization is that now the container is going to be built from scratch because it's not in Azure. And because it's building from scratch and is based on Debian Buster or whatever, when it tries to do some apt update, apt get, that fails, some repos path are not there anymore. And I found a simple solution. You just tell Docker, yeah, even if it fails, just go forward, because that step actually doesn't impact the following steps. I think you just make it to say, yeah, it exited with 0. And so it's a quick fix. But then I saw Sai had a similar thing, because in its pull Sai container, and that has a similar stuff, and that I need to update. No, I need to update one in Sai Challenger repo, and then Sai Challenger uses one from Sai that needs to be updated in Sai repo. So now all the fixes cannot be made in Dash. I need to go have the fixes done in Sai Challenger and in Sai, because they keep pulling one container after the other and so on. So there is like a cascading effect. So I pinged actually PL Vision, the person that maintains Sai Challenger, ask him to do I don't know, an update, maybe moves it to Bullseye instead of Buster or something. And they already have support for it, but it was not the default. Anyway, so there is a lot of, it will take a while till we update size and Sai Challenger and so on to actually be able to use it. But DPU gen per se is up, I fixed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, so leave that open, Mirsha, while we wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No problem.
On my system works. So basically on my
Mhm.
system works because I take the container with the old DPU gen version, and then I
Mhm.
manually do a pip update in that without rebuilding it again. And then I run it. But
Okay.
yeah, it's
I'll keep it open then.
Dash pipeline doesn't do that.
So we only have a couple minutes left. Rifra, Marian, did you have anything you wanted to bring to the front?
Not for me. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. All right. How about Andy and rest of the team? Honey, it's nice to see you, Honey.
Nope.
Hi, everyone. Hi,
No big
Hi,
deal.
Honey. You're good, Andy?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Andy, I tried to join the P4 meeting the other day, last Monday.
I apologize. I went to all this work to get a time survey to find out what the best time is for folks in Europe and California and all that, and then I forgot to update on personal calendar to join the meeting at the right
Okay.
time. So
Okay.
next week
all right.
it should be at the
Oh,
next
next
Monday it
week.
should be at the correct time, the correct
Okay.
new time.
Okay, I'll try and join next Monday then. Awesome. Well then, guys, thanks for your time. Appreciate all the work that's been done, and I will see you next time.
Thanks, Christina.
Okay,
Thank you.
have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.